Hi class, in this video I'm going to explain how to complete your Topic 6 assignment, your benchmark of creating a standards-based lesson plan. So throughout the course, you've been building up to this assignment. You've been slowly building a lesson plan piece by piece. Now this is your opportunity to show what you learned and make a complete lesson plan. All right, so at the very bottom of the assignment directions, you'll find the lesson plan example that you've already seen before and analyzed. In addition, you'll find that class profile that we've been using throughout the course. You can use this template if you'd like and just delete the lesson details that are there in the example plan to create your own. Or you can jump over to the Student Success Center and download a clean copy of the lesson plan template. So first, you're going to look at the class profile. You're going to use this information to complete the class profile part on your lesson plan. You'll want to complete all of the information in the boxes on the entire lesson plan template. Right here, you can find the classroom and student factors for grouping. This is where your class profile goes. You'll want to provide a summary of every student that is in your class and all the different areas that are going to affect your planning. Next, you're going to look at that state and learning standard. You can use that same standard that you've been using throughout this course. In addition, you'll add your learning objective. You can use the same objectives that you've been using throughout the course. Now, let's jump into academic language. So on the lesson plan template, you're going to want to put your academic language, a bulleted list of academic vocabulary that you will need to teach. In addition, add a few sentences to describe how you might teach these terms to students. Next, you'll have your resources, materials, and technology. What resources will you need to teach this lesson? What materials will you need, or what websites? So you'll make a list of all those materials here. Next, we get to jump into that anticipatory set. You want to include a pre-assessment or required knowledge that the students will need to be prepared to learn. An anticipatory set is a way to engage learners and activate prior knowledge. So when you think about an anticipatory set, this is where you're trying to figure out what students already know about a topic and get them excited for the learning that is about to come. So here the example has students reviewing pictures from a PowerPoint of medieval activities to engage them of the time period of that text. That's getting them excited about that medieval theme that this lesson has. In addition, you might ask questions of students like, what do you know about the medieval times? Or what have you learned about the medieval times? Or even you can jump into some of that objective stuff like, what do you know about using pictures to help you understand the text? Next, you're going to go into the multiple means of representation. So you're going to include at least 2 models or strategies that have been previously discussed with a thorough explanation of how this strategy would apply to the lesson. You can use what you wrote in your topic 4 assignment to help inform this instruction in this section. Make sure that what feedback I gave you on your assignments, you're applying when taking things from different assignments. So if I made a mention that you needed to be more in alignment, then you want to try to modify and adjust this now. In the multiple means of representation, this is how you're representing content for students. I like to think of these 2 sections, multiple means of representation. That's your teaching. What is the teacher doing here? How are you introducing learning to students? In the multiple means of engagement, this is students. What are the students doing to practice the learning? So up here, you'll explain how you're teaching. Make sure this is specific to your objective. Your details should not say things like, I will ask and answer questions. Well, I could write that for any lesson plan. You need to be specific. What questions are you asking? See how this example says, When did a medieval feast take place? Or who was the feast being prepared for? You want to be very specific so I can get a clear picture of what this lesson would look like if you were teaching it. I could pick up this lesson plan and I could go teach this lesson to students. The lesson plan, any teacher should be able to pick up and teach the lesson. And so broad details are not acceptable. You really want specifics and you want it connected to the learning for that day. If they're learning about fractions, tell me, how are you going to introduce the fractions? What visuals are you going to use? What manipulatives are you going to use? When you get down to the student practice area, you'll want to make sure you're thinking about how students will engage with both the content and the vocabulary. You can use what you wrote in topic 5 to help inform this section, but make sure you specify how you would adapt to students based on your understanding of how their students differ in development and their approaches to learning. So you're going to want to explain here how are you going to differentiate for different groups. In the multiple means of expression section, this is your assessment. This is how you're knowing if students met your objective of the day. So you're going to want to include both a formative and a summative assessment. So a formative assessment would be those checks maybe throughout the lesson. If this was our last day teaching about this topic, how would you summatively assess this lesson? So kind of what are you doing throughout the lesson? And then at the end, how are you going to make sure that all students met your objective? Include technology resources in one of your assessment ideas. And please label each assessment as formative or summative as they indicate in the lesson plan document. Here we can see it asks you to bold the names of summative and underline formative. That helps me distinguish when you're using formative assessment and summative assessment. Again, please be specific. If you're going to say students are going to do an exit ticket as a way to assess them, what is that exit ticket going to have on it? What question are you going to ask? Make sure it's connected to your objective and your learning for the day. Finally, you're going to include that extension. You can use what you put on topic 5 for this section. And the most important part, and often the most forgotten part, is your rationale or reflection. Because the bottom of the lesson plan template doesn't leave a section that says reflection down here, students often forget this reflection. Let's see how many points that's worth. I'm going to click on my rubric. I can see that my reflection is worth 20% of this grade. So if you forget that, you're automatically losing 20%. In your reflection, you're going to write a 200 to 500 word reflection answering these questions. How do the instructional models you chose meet the diverse needs of your students on the class profile? And how does the instruction and assessment meet the developmental needs of students to strengthen instructional decisions? So we're really looking at how instruction and assessment are connected to and how they will inform your future decisions about students' needs around this learning that was supposed to take place. In addition, how do technological resources you selected help engage students and support your assessment practices? So again, make sure that you have that assessment or that technology here in your multiple means of expression, one technological resource. In addition, you'll have a digital tool in the equipment section. It can be the same digital tool. You'll just list it up here and again, list it down there. If you have any questions as you're trying to complete your lesson plan, please reach out.